What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Preacher Season 2, Episode 9, titled Puzzle Piece. Man, this season is so good. I really love this season of Preacher. I have almost no complaints. I mean, maybe even no complaints if I sit, because right now, off the top of my head, I got no complaints. If I sit down and really think and grill, maybe I got one or two small ones, but for the most part, I'm really loving this season. Not only the character dynamics between Jesse, Tulip, and Cassidy, but just also the way the story is flowing much better this season. Even though it's still, on the slower end, it's still exciting and intriguing. More so than season 1, even though for me, season 1 was still pretty exciting and intriguing. But this season, I believe, in my opinion, at least topped it. Or it is topping it. It's not over yet, right? So this is episode 9, and we have, I believe, 13 episodes, or 12 or 13. So, we're winding down to the end, and things are definitely getting more tense and more exciting. This episode was definitely full of tension all around between the characters at the start and the situation that's going on, right, with Brad, which I'll talk about in a minute. That was awesome. Definitely my favorite part of the episode. And then you have all this stuff with ARE Star and the Grail, which was pretty tense too. Even though we're not rooting for those people, it's still pretty tense situations. And yeah, good stuff. All right, so let's start with the main trio because they're always the most fun. We have Jesse, who's still focused on finding God. Now he's turned to where? YouTube. That's right. We are on Preacher. And he doesn't seem to be having much luck there. So you can see the frustration setting in, and even shades of him looking like hopeless Jesse that we saw in the flashback this season. Remember when he was just loafed out on the couch all the time, stoned, whatever. So we're kind of getting shades of that, demeanor and just the way he's carrying himself, to me, reminds me of that Jesse, as opposed to the Jesse that we've had for the majority of this season, or even the Jesse that we had in season 1, which was, a totally different Jesse than that flashback, right? So we have all of that, and, fine job by Dominic Cooper. I don't think he really did anything super stand out this episode. The one scene when the Grail run up in the SWAT team runs up in the building, and they're looking, through the one guy's night vision, which I love that scene, even the way the sound was muffled because they had the headphones on, whatever. Really well done. That scene with Jesse was awesome. Just the ferocity in his face. I'm not even talking about the way he was whooping that guy's ass. The ferocity in his face was just, it was there on an acting level, Not that this show ever fails on the acting, never at all. I really liked that scene. It was kind of Call of Duty-esque. It was creepy, when we see Dennis attack that guy for the first time. We see Vampire Dennis, and he looks pretty creepy as a vampire, and he's acting very creepy. I guess he has a new, rejuvenation of life, I guess, the way he's dancing around and everything now that he's not on his deathbed, right? He doesn't even need the asthma pump anymore, none of that, right? So that was all good stuff. Definitely one of my favorite scenes was the whole SWAT thing. Awesome. The whole way the thing was handled, Jesse using the word of God to get the dude to take out his boys. Awesome. And then Dennis bum rushing him before Jesse has a chance to start getting information. All of that was great. I wanted to say this before I forget, but all that stuff was good, definitely. The actress who plays I forgot her name now. Anyway, she's the female Grail member that we see. She I was wondering, where do I know this woman from? She was the Mrs. Kettleman on Better Call Saul if you watch that show. I just put that together this episode, whatever. But I feel like her acting is slightly off in this role. I loved her as Mrs. Kettleman. And here, I don't know, especially in this episode, well, even the first episode she's in, way back, I don't know, episode 2 or 3 or something. She seems, I don't know. I didn't like the portrayal of the character. Something about her felt off. And I don't want to say bad acting or bad script or whatever. It's just something about her, the delivery of her lines and everything. It just felt off. So I don't know what that was about. If they're trying to go for that kind of feeling, because the Grail is a very strange organization, or if it was something in the performance or the directing. I don't know. But every time her character was reading lines, whether it be to her partner or to her star, or even when she was talking her star, even when she was talking to Tulip, everything just seemed off. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let me know down below. Okay, so so then we have, you know, the stuff with Tulip, and now not only is she still going and getting shot at that bar every day, and the nightmares have overtaken her to the point where she's not even sleeping, and she's very distant. She doesn't really want to speak to anybody about it. She doesn't want to hear nothing. She's doing what she wants to do. She's never felt this scared and this vulnerable in her life, is how I take it. That's how I take the dialogue and the acting and just everything that's going on. I take it as she's never felt this vulnerable. She's never been this scared of anything in her life, and she doesn't know how to cope with it. You know, I guess it's a sign of PTSD or something. So that's that's all great stuff. I love what they're doing with Tulip right now. They're just making her more and more complex, you know. When we first met her, all right, yeah, she was this cute chick. She was badass. And then we just start to learn how much she loved Jesse throughout season 1. That's really all we learned about Tulip from season 1. And, you know, all of her character growth and character development in that season was really about Jesse. But now this season, she's kind of taken on her own character and her own storyline, where she's evolving or changing and going through things outside of the group, but still within the group. You know what I mean? So I really love what they're doing with Tulip. Good stuff. All right, so, and then finally we got Cassidy. And, you know, you gotta love Cassidy just as a character. I wanted to just shout this out. I love how he always calls Jesse Padre. I can't do the accent, but I just love how he calls him Padre. That's good. I just love it. All right. So then we have Cassidy gets wounded in the SWAT attack. You know, they jump him or whatever. They're all beating him when Jesse sends a dude in to shoot them all. So he's kind of healing for the majority of this episode until we get to the part where Airstar and the Grail are sending Brad to the apartment. And they had me fooled. You know, I'm sure they had everybody else fooled, because at first I'm like, oh, this dude that's cleaning the apartment, that's definitely Brad. And then when they show the big fat guy outside, I'm like, oh, maybe that's Brad. And then they reveal that it wasn't him, and then they show the plane. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sick. All right, so that was all great stuff. I love how Tulip gets the gun. Now, I feel like Tulip should have questioned on why she gave up the gun so easy. Maybe we'll get to that, and maybe that's how they'll put 2 and 2 together or something, that they're with the Grail. But I don't know. It struck me as odd. I mean, I guess Tulip is going through all this stuff right now. Maybe she's just not thinking as clearly as she normally would. But the way I've taken Tulip in the past was to be very observant and smart, and I feel like she and very questions, and she's very strong-minded, I guess you would say, and strong-willed. So I feel like she should have said something like, why are you giving the gun up so easy, whatever. But no biggie. And then they reveal that it's the missile, and then her star, who I'm going to talk about in a minute. I know you guys probably want to hear me talk about Airstar. I love to talk about him. So, they're set in the middle of sending the missile, And he calls and says, call it off, call it off. So they get all shook. And they redirect it to to Harry Connick Jr.'s house. I love Preacher how every season now we had a celebrity who I guess, if they don't like or they just feel like, screw it, we're just going to kill that person, right, on the show. They just do it. Like they did it to Tom Cruise in season 1. They blew him up with Genesis at a Scientology, I don't know what they call it, meeting, whatever. And now they did Harry Connick Jr. with the missile. Love it. Not that I hate Tom Cruise or Harry Connick Jr. I just think it's absolutely hilarious. It's a very Seth Rogen thing to me. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was his idea to put that in there, Yeah, all right. So, her star. Now, as bad as I want to tell you guys, as much as I know about him from the books, or I just talk about it with you who know it, I really don't want to spoil it for the people who know nothing about, the books or anything. And I'm debating whether or not to do a video just about that and put a big spoiler thing on it. But even then, I don't want to get anybody that watches it to get hyped up like everything's going to happen like it does from the books, or all the backstory is going to be the same, and then be mad at me because they changed it so drastically. See, when I did the one for the Saint of Killers, it was after season 1. It was into season 2. So they revealed so much already that I could have just let it go. And I still left some stuff out that I think they still may touch on at some point in the show. And then maybe I'll do a Saint of Killers after that. I don't know. You guys let me know what you want down below, because if you want that video, if people message me and tell me they want a Her Star explained video where I just spoil the shit out of the character and possibly for the show, then tell me and I'll make that video. But otherwise, I'm really conflicted about whether or not I should make it. But we get some really good stuff into insight in who he is in this episode. Now, one thing I can say about him is S&M is totally his thing. The S and the M, right? So if you know about that, you know what I mean, right? If not, look it up. You're on the internet. So it's definitely part of his character. And now we're starting to see, shades of that. We already saw from his flashback shades of the type of person he is, where you could see little bits of this guy looks like, a sadist or whatever. And you start to see that more and more the more we learn about the character. The actor that they chose, I'm going to say this probably for quite some time, they did such an amazing job casting. The whole show is cast really, really well. Even if some of the characters look different or even behave a little different than their comic counterparts, the ones that are cast perfectly make up for that. And the people that they cast to replace it, like for instance, Tulip or the Saint of Killers, they both look quite different from their comic counterpart. Tulip behaves, in my opinion, I don't know, I've had a little bit of a debate here and there, than she does in the comics. Slightly different in my opinion, but different. And more than slightly, I feel, honestly. So, they do that from time to time, change things up because they have the right actor or actress. Understandable. I'd rather them go for the better talent than for people to fit the mold. You know what I mean? So I like those changes. But Her Star, it's always refreshing to see a character like Jesse, who looks very much like he does in the book. I wouldn't say exact, but very much. And he behaves pretty much like he does in the books too. And Her Star is ripped from the pages. I'm just loving everything they're doing with this character. The way they're doing it so subtle and kind of in drips reveals about this character and the Grail makes me even more not want to spoil it for you or talk about it preemptively, because I think the way they're handling it is in such an interesting way. Now, once season 2 is all said and done, who knows? Maybe I'll come to the conclusion that now I'm going to do it and I'm just going to let it go. Because maybe they reveal enough, in my opinion. So we'll see how that plays out. But I really enjoyed this episode. This is one of those seasons where they've really been consistently good. Even 1 or 2 episodes that might have only dipped slightly. But just like a few of the episodes that were better were only like slightly better than like the average episode of this season. But for the most part, this season has been really, really enjoyable. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. Definitely sound off down below. Let me know what you're thinking about Preacher Season 2, or just what you think about Episode 9, Puzzle Piece, or anything Preacher related. Sound off down below. And yeah, that's it for this one. You guys have a fantastic day. Definitely be on the lookout on the channel for more Preacher stuff. I'm going to try and pump out as many videos as I can. I just started a new job, so it's getting a little difficult till I get in my groove. But once I do, I'll be back to posting pretty much daily. So you guys have a fantastic day. I think I said that one already. I don't know. And yeah, that's it for this one. I will see you next time.